Morning guys, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button so you get updated when I release new content. In today's video, we're going to cover all 15 of the major currency pairs that my broker provide in detail, as well as 5 of the minor pairs in details as well. So get yourself a cup of coffee, make sure you're sitting comfortably, and let's get to it. Just a note, I'm doing this off my live account, so it's not a demo account. This is the CTrader platform provided by my broker FX Pro. I really do like this platform, as I've discussed in previous videos. There's a lot of gimmicks and a lot of tools that comes with the CTrader platform, along with it being an ECN platform. So it just makes your trading easier. It makes reading the chart easier as well. So let's just get up the list of currency pairs. So I'm going to click onto this, and we have 6 sections here. So as part of the package my broker provides, you got summary of popular markets, you got your Forex spots, you got your metal spots, you got your energy spots, your indexes, and your crypto spots. I think that's been newly added. So we will go into Forex spots. So within Forex spots, you have your majors, the subcategory of your majors at the top, your major currency pairs, and your minor pairs. So if you just a quick note, if you don't know the difference between your major and your minors, the majors has a lot more trading volume on average throughout the trading day and or week, and the minors is just not a lot going on in there. The spreads are usually tighter on the majors in comparison to the minors, which you usually refer to as exotic currencies. But all the pairs that I trade, the 10 pairs that I trade, are all within the majors. And I do have depending on what the fundamentals are within the market and what's going on, I will look at minors sometimes, but primarily just focus in my trading on the major pairs. So let's start at the top and work our way down. So we start with the CAD Swiss. So I'll pull that chart up. One of the cool things about using the CTrader, so if you pull a unique chart out that you don't normally look at, but you have a preset save, which includes your indicators and specific tools that you use on the chart to read the chart, you can save that as a default and pull that up onto your new chart. So I'm just going to pull up my dark T1 dark, which is a preset of my my analysis, which includes the Ichimoku, my RSI, and the Chaikin volatility, money flow. We're looking at the CAD Swiss, and now, as usual, when we do our analysis, we jump straight up to the weekly to just get ourselves an overall picture. The weekly is basically every single candlestick on the chart represents a trading week. So we can see that looking at the CAD Swiss, primarily from 15th of March, say from here 15th of March all the way back to 2015, you can see it's kind of been range bound. I haven't got this currency pair as part of the pairs that I look at, although it's in a major. I do, depending on the fundamentals, I will have a look, but I'm not one of those traders that have all the currency pairs on my charts layout for me to then go through each of them every day or every trading day and then do an analysis to then decide whether or not I'm going to open a trade on that pair. So I've just got specifically 9 pairs that I look at regularly, and depending on what the fundamentals are in the market, I might dive into currencies that I don't usually look at. So it's more of an opportunity trade for currencies like the CAD Swiss. But for now, as we're going through all of them, let's just have a look. We're going to look at all of them anyway. So let's just start with this, and we'll have a quick detail. We'll have a quick detail look at this pair. So we can see we're on the weekly, and we can see there's a flag here. And we know that the flag always break to the upside depending on how you're looking at it. If it's a downward flag, we know that's mostly the probability of the flag breaking to the lows here are quite high. So and then you know, doing your analysis, you always have to factor in, as well as, you know, the flag, the technical, you always have to factor in the fundamentals as well. So we know the state of the market at the moment, that this flag is most likely to break to this downside here. So now the only thing we need to look at if we're trading this pair is to see, you know, is to put in our support level. Well, here's the support level, to see what the resistance for this candlestick will be. In order for us to be able to, you know, get a bit more information on this, so we'll need to then jump down to the daily. Now on the daily chart, we can see we've just closed above this cloud, but then there's not the confirmation candlestick. Looks like it's going to be a pullback. So if you're trading this pair, then you need to just keep tabs on whether or not this candlestick remains closed above the cloud, or it closed within the cloud. And if it closed within the cloud and it kind of engulfed the candlestick previous to it, then we know that that's a strong close. You can go into that depending on the fundamentals and put in a short trade. But that, you know, that's how I will do it. But as I said, I'm not looking at this pair at the moment for trading. So but you know, as part of my strategy, if I was about to go in on this pair, I will keep my ears to the fundamentals, and you know, and look for a good opening for me to short it. So we jump quickly down again to the 4 hours, have a closer look. Yeah, I mean, looking at the RSI on the 4 hours, we can see divergence. There's divergence before, and with the divergence again. So we know that, you know, it's gonna be a pullback even down to 0.69. So I mean, if you're gonna go into this trade, then best to see how the US Open plays for the rest of the day. See what the economic calendar is saying, to see what the news will be in terms of what numbers are going to be released, Swiss wise or Canadian wise, you know, the bank rate, or you know, unemployment rate, so on and so forth. I mean, just the high level fundamental stuff, be able to get you in the right mindset for you to be able to use your strategy in terms of approaching this currency pair and what decision you need to make. So as I said, we've got divergence here on the RSI, the Chaikin. We know that the volume is still on the high there. We're looking for a pullback, but we know that the RSI kind of reacts as an early indicator to the Chaikin volatility flow, the Chaikin money flow, sorry. So let's jump up back to the daily. We can see if we have a close in the cloud, we can pull. Yeah, we can call that a divergence from the last high here to this. But then, you just need to keep an eye on this candlestick and see see how what the next move is. So we will jump up again on this pair to the weekly, and let's have another closer look here. So if we close below on the 4 hours, if we close within the cloud and the closing engulfs the previous candlestick, we know that there's going to be a pullback down here. But then, as I said, you need to make a decision based on what the fundamentals are, because the technicals are telling you that it's going to be a pullback down here. You don't want to go in and then, you know, the fundamentals say otherwise, because the current climate we're in is quite a dynamic, versatile climate with a US trade tension with China, the coronavirus effect on the global economy. You need to just keep those elements and other elements in mind before before making any decision on your positions. So to sum up the CAD Swiss, analysis, the new candlestick on the daily, whether it's going to close below within the cloud, and whether it's going to engulf the previous candlestick, and also depending on what the fundamentals are, if you're going to make a trade on this, then those are the factors I'll be looking at, as well as, you know, what your RSI is saying, what your RSI is reading at. So if what we discussed on the daily comes to pass, we will expect a divergence here on the RSI. So we will say here, we can see the Chaikin volume is heading down. So yeah, we'll be expecting that, and that will be, you know, that will be enough for me to be able to, you know, as I said, with the fundamentals as well, for me to be able to make a trade if I was looking at this currency pair. So with that in mind, we will move on to the next pair of majors, which is, sorry, I'm just going to click out of this. Our next pair of the majors is your CAD Yen. New chart, CAD Yen. Pull onto my template, pull my template onto this, which is T1 dark. Okay, T1 dark, move up to the weekly chart. So as with the CAD Swiss, the CAD Yen, we can see on the weekly we have the flag again. Now I bet you, and we can, well, sorry, we can, yes, we can see the flag. I do beg your pardon, we can see the flag forming down here, as with the CAD Swiss. Looking at RSI, we see divergence on divergence here on the buy on the weekly, but then keeping into mind that the fundamentals, the yen is a safe haven currency, despite what the BOJ is doing in terms of stimulation to their economy. We still know that, you know, with the current climate, going long on this pair wouldn't be something I will consider at the moment, despite we got the divergence here, not a lot of pullback on this candlestick. Chaikin on the downside, the volume is decreasing. So we will jump down to the daily to have another closer look, because on the daily we are in the cloud, and you can see that there's a candlestick here which is still kind of forming itself. With my experience and knowledge on the Ichimoku indicator, we know that with the fundamentals in mind, that we are most likely going to be able to get to the top of this span B. So we're going to touch on the outskirt of this cloud, maybe close above the cloud, and then that preceding candlesticks, which will then decide whether the trend is going to be, you know, it's going to be an uptrend or it's going to be a downtrend. Will all be determined by that candlestick, you know, the preceding candlestick. As we've said with the CAD Swiss, the preceding candlestick, you know, if it does close within the cloud and engulf the previous candlesticks, and this is just all, you know, if it forms part of your technical analysis and part of your strategy, then, you know, you have to play along with it. So as part of what I look at, with the candlestick does close above the cloud, I will need to see a confirmation candlestick, which would then tell me whether or not the trend is, re-establish itself to be an upwards, or is going to be a reversal. But we know, looking at the weekly, there is a flag forming, so that can just give us, you know, assurance that despite what happens on the daily, whether or not there's going to be a lot of volatility on that pair, we know that the ultimate pullback will be towards the downside. For my strategy and how I trade, that's kind of play, that's the kind of mentality I will take to this pair. So let's jump down quickly to the 4 hours and have another closer look. So on the 4 hours, like the CAD Swiss, we can see, looking at RSI, we can see divergence here. So we know there's going to be, you know, there's a higher probability of a pullback to 77.1666, which the reason I've just selected that randomly, well, not randomly, but it's looking left, is the support line. So it's a horizontal, we can plot a horizontal line to see, you know, is the support, and it's gonna be, you know, support here, or what resistance if you're looking at, you know, looking left. So resistance, and so we will expect this to be a pullback to a support level at 77.4. So let's just jump quickly up again to the weekly. So this pair is not one of the pairs that I look at, but as I said, with the current, with the current global geopolitics is going on and the current global economic crisis. I say crisis because it's kind of a crisis of what's going on, the escalation in geopolitics and the escalation with US and China and Australia and so on. So all safe haven currency pairs, i.e. the yen pairs and the gold spots and US dollars, if it forms part of your strategy, then it's good. If not, these are pairs you need to just keep tabs on, because there could be some good profit in there. So weekly flag forming. So in summary to this discussion on the CAD Yen, on the weekly, as with the CAD Swiss, we said about the flag, we said about the closing of the confirmation candlestick on the daily chart below, closing within the cloud, and the confirmation whether that candlestick engulfed the previous candlestick, and if it does engulf the previous candlestick on the pullback, then we know that we just need a confirmation for the preceding candlestick to be another pullback, and then we can go in onto the 4 hours, which with our divergence will be confirmed on the RSI, and then we can short that pair depending on what the fundamentals are. So that's how I would play it if I was trading this pair at the moment. So yeah, so if we close below and that candlestick engulf this preceding candlestick to the downside again, then we can pull in our short if we are trading this with other with the fundamentals and other elements which feeds your trading strategy. You got to make sure that your strategy is in full play and is satisfied for you to go into a trade. If not, you don't need to chase the trade. So we will jump up to the weekly and leave it as that, and move on to the next pair on the list to analyze, which will be, let me just click out of this and then pull out the next pair, which is the Swiss Yen. So Swiss Yen, new chart, bring my template up, which is T1 dark. Sweet. So we jump up to the weekly. So now the Swiss Yen, this is an interesting pair. I'm going to add it to my list of 10 pairs, which will make it 10 pairs that I'm currently looking at the moment for trading, because in this climate, as I said, all the safe haven currency pairs are pairs you need to look at, because the market is kind of unstable at the moment. There are risk on, the risk off days with as I said, with the current global economic pending crisis, depending on how you're looking at it. The safe haven pairs could be good pairs to you can make some good profit on that. So I'm gonna add this to my list of pairs that I look at later, but for the time being, we've pulled our template over this. We jump up to the weekly and let's have a look. So we can see we're range bound. I'll put the equidistant price channel in this, so you can just give us a little bit more detailed look. So we can see that put it here. So let's just pull that down a little bit more. So we see here on the weekly, price action closed above, we pull back down to this level, we pull back up. So we're looking at, this is 2017, we pull back up, we form support here, pull back up, support here, broken through, down, support here. So we see that looking left and up to date, we are trading within the range. Let me just get that out of there. I just pulled that up, just show you what I'm talking about. So I get that out of there, and we're kind of still consolidating here on the weekly. So we will jump down to the daily to have a closer look. And on the daily, we can see that if we look left, so I'm just gonna close this for a moment to give a wider look. So if we look left, we can see a support level here, resistance. We can plot a horizontal line right here to see what price action has been in, historically, and what price action is most likely to be, going forward. So we're looking at the cloud as well. I'll open my panel. So we're looking at the cloud as well. We're approaching the cloud. We'll consolidate it here. I mean, if you pull together Fibonacci, I'm more than certain that this pullback here will be your one of your key points in the formation of a godly pattern, and we can then see this candlestick closing all the way up to 112 and pulling back down to the cloud. But then that's just pure technical. What we need to keep in mind as well is the fundamentals. I mention fundamentals a lot because fundamentals in these times, this current global economic climate, fundamentals are playing a lot more of a role in driving price action. So we will need to keep tabs on fundamentals a lot, as well as technical, because technical points, key points like the Fibonacci pullback points, are respected a lot of the time. So up to about 90% of the time, the pullback will be respected, but not to the extent that a technical analysis will suggest. So you need to just keep that in mind. So looking at this Swiss yen pair on the daily, we will be expecting consolidation. We'll be expecting this consolidation to carry on. So be a pullback down here and pullback up there till till something significant happens within the fundamentals, which is most likely soon. But as a trade now, I wouldn't be trading this because one of the key aspects of my strategy isn't satisfied, which is I never approach a trade in a consolidation. So now I'm looking at the daily time frame, at the daily chart, and it's not a range bound neither. We got range bound on a weekly. I mean, it all depends on your trading strategy, but for me personally, I wouldn't. I can see a formation of a flag here and most likely to break to the upside to this level of the godly pattern. But let me just drop it in the Fibonacci retracement for us to have a quick look, a little bit of analysis. So from this lows to those high on the daily, we can see we're touching. We've pulled back down to, we can see we've pulled back down to 76.4, and we pull back to the 38, which is a key level. Even if we reverse, let's just reverse that Fibonacci. Yeah, it's still a key, I mean, the 38 and the 61 is still a key level. That's basically telling us that, this consolidation at this point here, it's it is, I'm satisfied that it is a consolidation and there's nothing we need to do till this level is violated either way. But if I have to approach this from from opening the position, I'll have to just wait for a confirmation to the lows or to the highs. So if we jump, let's just jump up again to the weekly and have another look. So I mean, range bounds as we've discussed, and in summary, it's more of a this pair is a waiting pair. We'll just have to wait and see. But we will be expecting it to be to respect the range as we've drawn in, so yes, RSI check, and there's nothing there that's telling us giving us any information. If we go back, let's just jump back to the daily quickly. Have a look. RSIs, yeah, I mean, uptrend. We're broken below the zero level. There's nothing there telling us, there's nothing telling us what to do, and nothing there satisfying our strategy neither. So we will, I always leave my charts on a weekly, so we'll jump up to the weekly and just get out of that at the moment and move on to the next pair in our analysis, which is your Euro CAD. So Euro CAD, new chart, pull my template, T1 dark. Okay, T1 dark on the Euro CAD. We jump up to up to the weekly. So we jump up to the weekly. We can see the formation of a flag straight on the weekly, divergence on the RSI. The chart can pull back down, and we know that from a technical analysis standpoint that the formation of the flag always break to the upside of the flag. So if in this situation we're expecting a break up to the upside here, if that was reversed like the previous pair we looked at, we expect a breakdown to the lows. So looking at the weekly and the candlestick we're on now, can you see the level of pullback on this candlestick? Almost like the formation of a star. Divergence on the RSI for short, but this is, it's kind of I'll call this a fakey, because the technicals are telling you one thing and where the fundamentals are with this pair. So let's just jump quickly down to the daily, have another closer look. On the daily, we're consolidated in the cloud, and that's kind of just telling me that the market is range bound here in the cloud. We got diversions on the RSI, but that's not telling me anything that I can use. We will just have to look left on the daily. I have to close my panel down. So if we look left on the daily, we can see that there is this level which we've spotted on the weekly. So I'm up to the weekly chart now, just having a look, and we can see resistance level here, resistance level all the way from 2013, and this is a level we are testing at the moment, the 1.52 level on this pair. So let me jump down to the daily, and we can see, so we did say that the formation of a flag always break to the upside. That's what the technicals are telling us at the moment, but we know that historically this level is quite a respected level. Back up to the weekly, this level is quite respected. So if we're going to be breaking to the upside, we need a confirmation on this candlestick, as well as looking at the technicals. So let me just open my panel again, stroll to the right. So in summary for this pair, what I will need to see for me to be able to, if I was trading this pair, I will need to see that this candlestick close as it is at the moment, which shows a strong position to the upside, and I will need a confirmation candlestick closing above this point as well, closing above the 1.53 point to the upside, and the divergence on the RSI, and also fundamentals as well, something within the ECB handling of the stimulus package that they're pulling together, or you have to factor in the fundamentals as well as your trading strategy being satisfied for you to be able to make up open a position, for you to be able to open a position on this pair. So within summary, again, I'm just gonna have to if you're trading this pair, you just have to wait and see what how this candlestick plays out, how the fundamentals play out, how these technical tools are playing with your trading strategy, for you to be able to open a trade. But this is not a pair I look at. So but if I was looking to if I was looking at it, and those are the factors I will consider. But let's just jump quickly up to the weekly. Up to the monthly. I just want to have another quick look. Yeah, it's kind of it is a range bound currency. You got divergence to the downs. Yeah, it is a range bound. The monthly just gives you an overall picture. Each candlestick representing a month. It just kind of tells you what the trend is. You can throw in the 200-day moving average if you want, but I kind of just find a way to get around, get around those sort of things, looking at other, looking at higher time frames. So if you have your trading strategy, and it satisfies your needs, and it proven itself to you, you just need to stick with that, and make sure that it's dynamic and adapting to the fundamentals as well. And then you're good to go. But as I said, I don't trade the spare, but in summary, if I was, those are the elements I will be looking at as we discussed. So we will then move on to the next pair. I'm just gonna get rid of this, and the next pair on our list is a Euro Swiss. So new currency, new chart, and then we plot in, we drop in our template. So our template is loaded on this pair, and we jump up to the weekly. So on the weekly, on this pair, we can see a downward trend and a pullback. So we bottomed here at the 1.05, and we've pulled back to the 1.06. Again, this is one of the pairs I don't trade. It's not part of my list of currency pairs that I look at. Just a quick one, guys. If you look to the left, you can see for each of these currency pairs that we're going through, the star is highlighted. So the ones where the stars are highlighted, like the GBP Swiss and the GBP Yen, the GBP USD, well, those three, for example, in comparison to these which are not highlighted. The highlighted ones are the pairs that I'm currently looking at, that I look at on a regular basis, which are all the major pairs. Anyway, sorry, we just digressed a little bit from there. Do apologize. So back to this, the Euro Swiss. We can see we've pulled back here. The trend is towards the downside. This pullback, if you look left, there is a support level. The pullback is at a support level, which is the 1.06 level, all the way. I mean, that level is being tested, and is if you look left to 2017 up to down to 2015, that level has been holding. They've held between November 2016 to January 2017, and we've tested it down here in February 2020. We did break below, and we up to test. So that this is telling me that it's going to be a pullback to this lows here, because we know the trend is towards the downside. The fundamental old rule is you never trade against a trend, and depending on where we are with the fundamentals, we know that the Swiss franc is far more stable than what the euro has been historically, and in this current climate as well. I would bet on the Swiss franc over the euro. But as I don't look at this, I don't trade this pair at the moment. Let's just jump down quickly to the daily, have another closer look. So on the daily, we've closed above the cloud. We can see these the candlestick still within the previous. Still within the previous candlestick, the closing. So we haven't got confirmation to the upside. We know that the trend is going to be respected. Let's just drop in a quick trend line on the daily. So if we drop in the trend line from there, so let's see. So we'll cover the highs. So looking at this trend line, take it all the way up here. So yeah, so looking at this trend line, and we can see we're testing about this level before pullback. Looking at the RSI as well, we're at the 70 mark on the RSI, so we've oversold. Sorry, we've overbought at this point. The pressure to the overbought side is set. Well, it's kind of in the formation of certification here. So yeah, if you plan on buying this pair, and that wouldn't be a wise idea, but it's whatever satisfy your strategy. So if I was trading this pair, I will wait for a confirmation. I'll be waiting for a confirmation candlestick, which I think there wouldn't be a confirmation to to the upside here, it'll be a confirmation, you know, a pullback. So if we jump, let's just jump up quickly to the weekly again. We can see, yeah, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't class this as a flag, but you know, you could argue, you could argue that. So in summary, for this pair, there's not much I can say other than I will just have to, you know, if you're looking to trade this, you just have to wait and see where, you know, where the pullback is on the daily, keeping into mind the fundamentals as well. And then you can, you know, if all those points are satisfied, you can then go into this pair to make a short position. Shorting this pair is you know, is what I will do once the setup presents itself, instead of you know, the opposite, which will be buying. But do keep in mind that the fundamentals will play a major role within this pair and all the other previous pairs we looked at. So for in summary, we will as discussed, we'll wait for a confirmation candlestick, because we know that this level that we're currently at the moment is a respected support level previously, so it's going to be a resistance, and there's most likely to be a high probability being a pullback at this 1.068 level. So we will leave it on the weekly for this pair and move on to our next pair, which is one of the pairs that I do trade as part of my trading my list, which is the Euro GBP. So I'm not gonna pull that back up from here because I've currently got that in my list of pairs that I look at. So on the Euro GBP, we jump up to the weekly. On the weekly, even if we pull in, even if we drop in the equidistant pricing channel, drop that in here, you can easily see that we have been range bound we can see we've been range bound for quite a while on the weekly. So I'm just trying to get this get this right. Okay, so on the weekly we can see we've quite, you know, we've been a range bound since 2016 up to now. We're pulling up to the 0.91 for a testing session. Depending on the fundamental, it might be a close above this level, but we'll be expecting a pullback. Now do keep in mind where we are with the fundamentals on these pairs, especially with the GBP. We're heading towards we're in the middle of the year, heading towards the end of the year, keeping in mind that Britain has left the EU, and there's Boris Johnson hasn't said anything along moving his deadline date of the 31st of December this year. And where we are at the moment with coronavirus, at the forefront of issues, of the major issues within the world at the moment, with geopolitics and everything else is going on, we do need to keep in mind where we are with Britain's leaving the EU and how it's going to play out. So there's a lot of uncertainty there at the moment as the time is ticking. So that's one of the fundamental aspects we need to keep in mind looking at this pair. So we, as I said, on the weekly, we're looking at our RSI. There's nothing there. Checking down to the lows here, maybe a pullback here, little divergence there. We will be expecting this RSI to confirm a divergence, so a pullback, but it all depends, what the fundamentals are in terms of over the next few weeks. See if this level here, the 0.91 level, is going to be tested, and then we'll be able to see where our confirmation is in terms of the RSI and the Chaikin for pullback. So if we just jump down to the daily on this pair and have another closer look, yes, we can see we're kind of consolidated as well on the daily. And for me on the daily chart, if there's a consolidation, I just kind of keep notes and move on, because you're either else you're a scalper, which is what I'm not. I'm not a scalper, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to lower time frames if I'm looking at the daily, keeping in mind where the fundamentals are. I'm just gonna, if the daily doesn't satisfy me, I'm just gonna leave it and move on to a higher time frame. So if we jump up to the weekly and just have another quick look, and we see consolidation down to the daily again quickly. Consolidation, 4 hours. See where we are on the 4 hours. Yeah, resistance level, we know it's going to be a pull down, but it's going to be tempered pull down. So I mean, although I'm trading this pair, it's part of the list of pairs that I look at on my, as part of my trading, my trading setup, my trading strategy. At the moment, I keep tabs on it, but I haven't got any positions. I'm not looking to open any positions now on it. Maybe closer towards the end of the year, seeing where we are with the EU issue, then I might pay a closer look to this. But I'm keeping tabs on the fundamentals on this pair, and we'll see how it's to be played going forward. So if I'm just going to jump up quickly to the weekly again, and then in summary, this pair is just it's a waiting pair. I'm just gonna wait and see what the fundamentals are at this level, because if you look left, you can see that at this level itself is a resistance level. So the gap in between the 0.89 and 1991 is just market pullbacks. So we just needed we need a confirmation, but I can see this pulling down to the downside, but we'll just wait for a confirmation and see how the market plays out on this pair. Remove this equidistant price channel from the Euro GBP and move on to our next currency pair on our list, which is the Euro Yen. So I'm just going to open a new chart on that currency pair. New chart, bring in my save template. Now the Euro Yen is again one of those currency pairs that I don't look at normally, but I will add this to the list of pairs that I'm looking at the moment, simply again because of the safe haven currency and the euro in the current climate that we are in. I want to keep tabs on all safe haven currency pairs. The reason is it's just more there's a room to make there is a room to make some profit on those uncertainties that are currently pending in the market at the moment as it's being played out. So on the Euro Yen, let's jump straight up to the weekly, see where we are. Okay, so we see the support level here being tested and respected. We've closed below that in 2016, but we obviously know the global crisis that we had in 2016. So we did break below that level, but then we soon retraced up a couple months after that. So now we've tested a level here, the support level. We then retraced at the moment. That's a really strong candlestick on the weekly, heading up into the cloud. So let's see where we are on the daily. I mean, just a quick look at our RSIs. We're heading towards the overbought, which is up here. We still got a bit of a room to a room between where we are at the moment to 70, to level 70, which we hit in December of 2017. So yeah, we still got a long way to go to that level, but that candlestick is quite strong, so that makes me want to have a look to a lower time frame. Let's just jump down to the daily quickly. I'm just gonna hide this window for the time being so we can have a look a detailed look left. So looking left always, helps with plotting where where we were historically, and where we are at the moment, and where the trend is kind of telling us we're heading. Also taking into account where the historic support and resistance are. So it always helps to well, for my strategy, it always helps me to look left. So let's just move the chart along a little bit, see as far back as we're on a daily. November 2018, it's been downtrend all the way down to 2020. Got a full downtrend as to the 4th of May. Then we've got this retracement back up to, we drop a support level, we can say the level is at 120.8, let's say 120.9 is that level here. So let me just drop a quick horizontal line in there just to show you what I'm talking about. So yeah, if we say, let's just say 121, leave it as that. So with that in mind, on the daily, we can see our current candlestick. We see it's a strong retracement to the upside here. We've broken above the cloud. There's a confirmation candlestick pending, but I think that's going to remain closed above the cloud, and we are most likely going to be able to test this level. But do keep in mind, again, I say the safe haven currency yen, and where we are in the current economic climate, global economic climate. So I will keep tabs on that. I'm gonna add that to the list of currency pairs that I look at. So I'll keep tabs on that, and keep tab on the candlestick that's preceding this one on the daily. We can see on our RSI, we're close to the overbought. So we're most likely gonna, well, there's high probability that we're gonna get to that point, and then there'll be a retracement, and then a divergence will form on that on the daily. So let's jump quickly to the 4 hours just to have a closer look quickly. I don't normally jump to the 4 hours for a closer look if I'm not 100% certain on the daily chart. So but for this analysis, let's just have a quick look, and we can just have yeah, we're kind of off away from the cloud at the moment, so we're expecting to pull back to the cloud. So just down to the, sorry, let's just jump up to the daily quickly. Yeah, we'll be expecting looking at this from experience of my trading analysis and trading setup, and looking at this safe haven currency pairs, and knowing exactly what the situation is from the fundamentals, from the news, and we can see what we can determine that this candlestick is gonna close, and then the preceding candlestick is gonna be a consolidation and a pull to the downside here. So that will form us a divergence on the RSI. But in summary, for the euro yen, I'm gonna keep tabs on it, and I'm gonna have I'm gonna just keep tabs on it over the next few days, weeks, and see how how all this plays out in terms of the central bank actions that they'll be taking towards recovering the eurozone, and what the BOJ will be doing in terms of creating some kind of safety around their economy as well, around the currency, the yen. So let's just jump up to the weekly on this chart. Stroll to the right to have a look. Yeah, we can see where we dropped our horizontal line on the daily. If you look left on the weekly, we can see that's a major support level, down all the way to 2013. So yeah, what that's telling us is if that level is most likely to get tested on this pullback, but we just need to keep tabs on the fundamentals as well to be able to determine whether or not that level does get tested or pull back will be, you know, a pullback will be initiated once we touch the outskirt of span B on the cloud. So let me just bring back my list. And in summary for this pair, then we just want to say, well, we will say that it's a pair, it's a waiting pair again. We just need to wait and see how it plays out, but how it plays out for me in terms of my strategy. But I will just, you know, there's nothing telling me here what I need to do in terms of my strategy, in terms of making you know, opening a position. So I am going to leave it on the weekly and take note to add it to the pairs of currencies I want to look at, and move on to the next pair, which is one of the pairs that I do look at, the Euro USD. So let me just close. Actually, I want to add it to the pairs that I'm looking at. So sorry guys, I'm just gonna move it into line. So I've already got that in there, so I'm gonna close that. And Euro USD, I've already got that pair that I'm looking at the moment on my list. So let's just scroll left. Instead of opening a new chart, we're just gonna bring that up, which is, I should be right there, but it looks like it's not. So I must have accidentally closed it. So let me just, yeah, let's just bring that back up. New chart, move it to where it should be. I think keeping an organized workspace always helps. So one of the cool things about the CTrader platform is you can, you know, in here you can create various workspaces, and you know, I've got co-pairs, various workspaces, and you can create various workspaces depending on what you're looking at, whether, you know, you're looking at Forex or commodities or cryptos, whatever you're looking at. You can create your individual workspace with individual indicators, you know, whatever suits your analysis, and save it as a separate workspace. So with this, let me just move this back into where it should be. Drop in my template, and we will jump up to the weekly on this pair. So on this pair, the Euro USD, this is a pair that I normally look at, so it's part of my list of regular trades and regular analysis. So we can see on the weekly the downtrend, keeping in mind again guys where we are with the fundamentals. We will be expecting a break to the upside. We'll be expecting this level. We'll definitely be expecting a move into the cloud. So on the weekly, we're looking at RSI. We can see divergence on the RSI. On the weekly, we see where the Chaikin is in terms of the volume on that currency. Let's just jump to a lower time frame. So let's jump down to the daily, and we can see on the daily we are in the cloud. Divergence on the RSI to the overbought level, and we will be touching on the span A at this level, the 1.10 level, and we are currently at an uncertainty in the cloud. So I'm just gonna jump back down to the 4 hours. Jump down to the 4 hours, have a closer look at this. Is piquing my interest. So divergence on the RSI on the 4 hours. We see on the Chaikin we are at the highest level, and we're going to be pulling back on the volume for this pair. So 110 divergence, we are at the top. So I'm looking at this now. We're going to be getting to this point. The preceding candlestick will definitely, well, most likely be a pullback to a support level of 1.09, depending on where, you know, how the day plays out for in the US session. So let's just jump up to the daily quickly, have another look. We can see we're gonna close above this a little bit, close above the cloud, maybe at 1.17 ish, and then the preceding candlestick will be a pull, will most likely be a pullback into the cloud. A little bit of uncertainty range within the cloud over the next few days, keeping tabs on the fundamentals as well. Then we'll be looking at how the fundamentals are playing this pair to the pull, to the upside or to the downside. But for the time being, if you have to trade on this pair, I will wait and see how it plays out, because again, on a daily, which is my decision time frame, and we're kind of stuck in uncertainty here. So, and looking left, if I close that list down, we can see that if we have to drop in a support level, we'll drop it in at, yeah, if we have to drop in a support level, I'll drop it in at 1.111. That will be telling me that if there's a pull up to the upside past the cloud, we'll be expecting this candlestick to reach to the 1.11 level and then the pull back into the cloud. But that, so if you wouldn't want to buy this pair and have your stop loss at the 1.07, it's not realistic. It's just not realistic. If you have to approach this, you have to wait for a right open position to present itself for short. So let's just open our list again and get rid of our horizontal line. Now guys, in summary for this pair, then we're just gonna wait and see, you know, how this candlestick on a daily plays out with view to what we just discussed and the fundamentals in mind, and then I'll make our move. This pair is the pair that I normally look at, so I know where we are with the fundamentals, where the US elections are pending. It's not too far away from us. The tension within between the US and China as well, that's going to play a factor into this the volatility on this pair. So with all that in mind, we'll just have to wait and see how, you know, keep an eye on the daily on this candlestick that's currently in in formation, and see how, you know, how the preceding candlestick and what the fundamentals are saying, and for us to be able to make a decision on how we're going to approach this pair to make a profit. So what I'll do now is drop it down to the weekly and move on to our next pair, which is not a pair on our list, but you know, we will look at it anyway because we're going through all the pairs. The pair will be the GBP CAD, British Pound Canadian Dollar. So this is one of the pairs I don't usually look at, but we will have a look at that now. So I'll pull that up from the left into a new chart and drop my template onto that. Let's see where we are. Straight down to the weekly. We always start the chart review on the weekly timeline. So on the weekly, let's have a look to the left. So let's slide this across. Let's just get rid of this list right here. Get better view. Slide this to the far right. We can see support level running through. So where we are now with the CAD with the GBP CAD, we are at the 1.69, which is a support level that looks to be respected in the left. So if we look left, we can see that support level just around the 169, the spot 70, that level is quite a respected level. So now what we will be looking at the wick of this candlestick, this current information, we can tell that, you know, there is tension there at that level, but we can do nothing at the moment. If we were looking to trade this pair, which is, I'm not looking at this at the moment in terms of trading or opening a position on this pair. So if we look down at the RSI, we can see we had divergence here, but it's divergence here, divergence here, divergence here. Let me just drop that in so we can have a trend line. So you see these divergence here, triple divergence, and looking up at the chart on the weekly, there's not much movement. So we can tell that, you know, the consolidation at this point still remains strong. Let me just get rid of that. Look at our check-in on the pullback to the downside. Again, we are still looking left. We can still see the consolidation in that channel. Let's just jump down quickly to a daily chart to have another closer look. Slide it to the left. Yeah, we consolidated here in the past 16th of March. Again, we're looking to test this level, because if you look on this at the 16th of March, we've tested this level and we haven't really broke and closed below this level with the confirmation candlestick. So if you look at this candlestick here, the green candlestick, we closed here, but then we haven't had the preceding candlesticks closing below the previous candlestick. So this candlestick, we had a closing one, but then let's move on to the upside at this level of 1.77 1.8 sorry 1.77 1.78 level, and we're kind of still hovering here. So for me, looking at this pair on the weekly, on the daily, it's more of a waiting pair. I mean, in the fundamentals, apart from what's happening in the UK with the EU and the global economy and where we are with that, we will be expecting a consolidation between the 1.67 168 and 171 range. So at the moment, I think till the fundamentals tells us otherwise, this pair is going to be range bound going forward. So let's just jump quickly to the 4 hours. Just have another a more closer look, and we can see here we're still consolidating this point here. We consolidated for a while at this point between the 19th of May and the 22nd, 26th. So yeah, I mean, it is a sleeping pair, as I'll call it. There's nothing interesting happening now, and nothing is going to be happening anytime soon. So let's just jump back up to the daily. Let's jump up again. Sorry, I'm using the drop down from the actual tab as one of the features of the C-Trader platform. It's just really, there's lots of tweaks and tools and gimmicks and things that just makes you view viewing the chart a lot easier. So we drop it up to the weekly, slide it to the right, and even if we does go up again another time frame, go to the monthly, just have another closer look, and we can another overview look, and we can see that we have another support level down at the 1.61. We have another support level at the 1.62, 1.61. But then that's 2012, and that's lows. So that's between then and the 2013 financial crisis. I think that'll attribute to this range performance, but I don't think we're gonna go get to that lows anytime soon. I think we're just gonna hover around this range and maybe move on to the upside to stick within that range. Else, an important fundamental either within Britain or within the Canadian economy takes place. So at the moment, we will leave this on the weekly. As I said, it's not one of the pairs that I do look at as part of my daily analysis. It's just as we're going through this process, I just thought we touch on all the currency pairs that is provided. So with that in mind, in summary, this pair is a sleeping pair, and there's not much happening on it. I don't look at it, and I don't, because for the simple fact that it's not much happening on it. Else you're a scalper, and then this might be of some interest to you, as it's range bound. It might you might be able to go in there and maybe get in with your strategy at this point to go long and maybe take profit at a 1.66 sorry 1.76 1.77 level. But then that's a scalper strategy. It's not part of my trading strategy. So yeah, a sleeping pair in summary. And we will get our list back up, close the GBP CAD as we've just finished discussing that, and then move on to the next pair in our discussion, which will be the GBP Swiss. The GBP Swiss is one of the pairs that I do look at. As you can see, the highlighted star. So we know that that's currently open on my list. So I'm just gonna jump straight to that at the moment. The reason I'm looking at this, because there's just a lot of activity on the on GBPs, on the GBP pairs going forward till to the end of the year. For the simple fact that Britain relationship with the EU in terms of the withdrawal process, we got a deadline at the 31st of December, so there could be a good position on there for short, but we will just cover that in our analysis. So if we jump up, we're on the chart now. If we jump up straight to the weekly to have a an overall view, it just takes a while for it to load. And whilst it's loading, just a quick note on the CTrader platform. I mean, before using FX Pro as a broker, I was with Apari in the past, before Apari went into liquidation. And with Apari, I was on the MT4 platform, and I also upgraded to the MT5 platform. They were really good trading platforms, but compared to CTrader, which I'm currently on, I think CTrader is far better in terms of it's just the chart itself. There's a lot of tools on there, but it's not the best chart in the world. But for what it does and my trades, I do prefer it. Anyway, we digressed a little bit there, sorry. We are on the GBP Swiss at the moment. Jump straight to the weekly chart, and we can see that the trend is towards the downside. Formation of a flag here, and we're looking for that to break further down to the lows. I'll be expecting this level to be tested. For the simple fact is, where we are with the fundamentals on this. I mean, and the Swiss franc being a stronger pair in terms of where we are with the EU. As I said previously, this level here will be tested. It's most likely to be tested as part of my strategy. So if we jump lower to the daily, we can see we're currently in the chemo cloud here. We will look down to the RSI on the daily. We can see divergence on the RSI. I mean, from a technical standpoint, we know that this is a short formation information, but we are still within the cloud, so I wouldn't approach this till I see a confirmation candlestick outside of the cloud. And also keeping in mind what the fundamentals will be once I see that candlestick. Everything on this chart is kind of providing me with a strong indication of a short. So it all depends on what the close below the cloud is here, and the fundamentals are saying. Also, do keep in mind the fundamentals will play a major part when it comes to to this pair. So keeping if you got the technicals in place, smart money will play a major role in this. But do keep your mind on the technicals as well. As it's Friday the 29th of May, we know that Donald Trump is going to make an announcement later in terms of the US reaction to the Chinese issues that's currently going on, and the trade negotiations and so on and so forth. Whether there is going to be one or not. I think the market is kind of slowly pricing in a run to safe haven currencies, safe haven assets. So with this in mind, I think with the dollar having its own issue, and we can tell that the pound will be kind of flowing that way as well. So we just keep with that in mind. We just reinforce our fundamentals when the news comes out, and keep tabs on this. But I'll be looking to short this at the 1.178 or 0.77 level, depending on the confirmation of this candlestick here. So let's jump quickly down to the 4 hours, have another closer look. I'll get rid of this list here, slip to the right, and we can see those the same divergence we saw on the weekly. We can see those divergences to the downside. We can see our Chaikin here past the zero level. So we got confident that this level here is going to be tested, the 1.113 for a good short. But I just need to see a confirmation candlesticks, because that's a core part of my trading strategy. for me to be going on the short, but I'm keeping tabs on that. As I said, it's part of my major pair, part of the major pairs that I do look at. So we will jump up quickly to the weekly and looking at the RSI. Takes a while to refresh and bring us the. I think it's a broadband issue. I've currently upgraded my broadband, but it's kind of still having refreshing issues. All right, so here we can see that divergence on RSI on the weekly. We know we're keeping tabs on this for short. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the pairs that I do. It's part of the pairs that I look at, and I'm looking to go in on this position today. I'll be you know, once if my strategy is confirmed and the points that I do look at are fulfilled, then yeah, I'll be looking to short this pair today. So let's get our list back up and move on to the next pair in our list, which is another pair that I am currently looking at as well. It is, as you see the highlighted star here, that will be the GBP Yen. Quite popular, one of my favorite pairs, because I made quite a few number of profits on this over the last few weeks. So we will get that chart up and go back down to the weekly. So on the weekly, similar to the GBP Swiss. Similar to the GBP Swiss, we see on the weekly the divergence in the RSI, but it hasn't been any movement in there. We can see where the Chaikin is heading to the downside on there, but we're kind of still consolidating there. You know, there's a high probability that there's going to be a pop to the downside on this. So if we just jump down quickly to the daily, have a closer look. Yes, we can see we've tested the span A on the cloud, and we kind of, you know, broke into the cloud. This is basically telling me that there's a consolidation here between the 131 and the 132 to the 133, 132, 131, 130 is consolidations, and we know that at the 124.23.5, this lows that were hit beginning of March, we know that that's going to be tested. Well, there's a high probability that that's going to be tested, seeing where we are with the fundamentals, where we are with you know, with our technical analysis as well. So looking at the cloud between the 16th of April and now, we know that we haven't tested span B of the cloud. It's part of our strategy, so we know that, you know, there's going to be a pop to the downside on this pair. So a good short position is pending, and we know that what we know from our analysis that, you know, it's going to be one of the pairs we can definitely make some profit on. We just need to wait for the right setup. So we can see divergence here on RSI. We're looking at the daily chart at the moment. We can see divergence here on RSI. We can see divergence here on the Chaikin. So yeah, we are quite confident at this pop into the downside and, you know, hitting these lows at 124. Just with you, all we need to do now is wait for a good setup, and on that, you know, on identifying that setup, we will jump straight to the 4 hours. Once that comes up, all right, so here on the 4 hours, we see that divergence again on the RSI. We see that, you know, our Chaikin is heading to the lows. We know that there's consolidation here at the moment. Looking left on the 4 hours, we've had a little consolidation here on the 12th of March 16. This is the 4 hour chart we're looking at, and we had a pop below. So I'm expecting kind of similar formation that's happened here between the 16th and 19th of March to happen here as well, between, you know, here going forward from the, you know, the 26th to the 29th. Now basically I'm expecting kind of between now and the next few days, I'm expecting to pop to the downside, simply because of what, as I said, what the fundamentals are with this pair. and it's against the safe haven currency, the yen. So see, you know, the global fundamentals will play a major part into this pair short. So I'm keeping tabs on this, and you know, as there's a good potential here to make a good profit. So in summary, this is good short information, and once the candlesticks show me, you know, my strategy is satisfied with the setup that's currently forming, which will be primarily closing below the cloud and a confirmation close, then I know that I can ride this to the lower lows downside to the 124.23 level. So for the time being, I keep tabs on this. Let's jump up quickly, leave the chart on the weekly, slide it to the left, slide it towards the right so we can have an overall view, and then bring our list back up and move on to the next pair on our list, which is another core pair that I do look at, and I'm keeping tabs on at the moment as well, will be the GBP USD. So we currently got that in our list, so I'll close this to give us a bit more view of the chart. The GBP USD, get that to refresh and tell us where we are. Slide that a little bit to the right, get a bigger picture on that, and weekly chart. Again, guys, just keeping in mind the fundamentals, where the fundamentals are and will be. Donald Trump will be addressing the media later in terms of his response to the Chinese global geopolitics issue that's currently going on between the USA and China and Hong Kong and so on. And we will be keeping tabs on this pair as well very closely. And we're looking now at the weekly chart. We can see divergence all the way through, but there is no other than this pop down to the downside, which was primarily due to the weaker pound. There hasn't been anything else. We had a retracement up to a good support level, which is the 1.23. Looking left, we know that, you know, that level has been tested and maintained between September 2016 to January 2017. So we've closed below that, and we've tested that level. We've tested it a few times here. Give it a range bound, but we've tested it a few times here. And looking at this, I'm pretty confident that we're gonna pop down to the lows. You know, we've tested it. We haven't broken above the cloud, and we're gonna, you know, there's a higher probability of this this candlestick being closing at this level and then retracing back to these lows again to test these lows. So it is a good short trade here, but then that will also depends on the fundamentals, because if it goes south later, as the market's kind of pricing in terms of an increased tension between the US and China, will be, you know, the market will be kind of pricing in moving price to safe haven currency. So we'll be looking at gold spots and the yen and Swiss later. If you know, but it's just keeping tabs on this, so not just looking at the technicals, because the technicals are telling us that, you know, there is a higher probability of this moving back to the retracing back to the downside and testing these levels. That's the technical sign off, but the fundamentals in this climate kind of plays a major part to this as well. So we will keep tabs on that. Let's jump down quickly to the daily. You have another closer look once that's refreshed. Okay, so here we are on a daily, looking straight down to our RSI. We see divergence again. Looking down to our Chaikin, we see divergence, and we know that we're kind of consolidated here at the moment in the cloud, outside in the cloud. So that's a good consolidation here. Looking left, we're kind of consolidating on a support level. We know of that support level because we've looked at it on a higher time frame as well, the 1.23. So yeah, it's kind of in the overall view here, that's a flag as well. So we got a flag, we've got divergence, we've got support levels being respected in the past. So all the technicals are telling us that this is a, you know, a formation of a perfect short. But we just need to keep tabs on the on the fundamentals as well, because you know, if we take the boxes on the technical as we are now, we just need to make sure that the fundamentals is in place, because as I've said a numerous of times, they kind of the fundamentals plays a major role in the climate that we're currently find ourselves in. So we will keep tabs on this, and we will leave it up on the higher time frame, because I can easily jump back to this pair and move on to our list and see what we have next on our list. So we have the USD CAD. Now I don't look at this pair because there's not a lot of you know, volatilities or trade that, you know, that kind of falls in with my strategy in terms of how I trade. For me to look at this pair, is just not much happening on this, so it's not on my list, but we'll get it up. So right click, new chart, wait for it to load. Let's just close this list down, give us an overall bigger picture. Yeah, we are on an optic fiber broadband, and don't understand. Anyway, I'll just wait for it to load. Now this is one of the pairs that I don't usually look at. It's not form part of my my list of analysis. So we will click onto this new chart, bring it up. It comes in as the default. Now let's just drop our template over that again. Put our template on there. Close this list, give us a better view, and then we jump straight up to the weekly. Now looking at the weekly, we see the formation of a flag here, divergence to the downside, checking to the downside. The fundamentals on this will be at the moment, you know, depending on what the announcement is later that Mr. Trump makes, President Trump, to beg your pardon, we will see an opposite reaction to what the technicals are telling us now, because we looking at this. If we try to, let's just drop a horizontal line in there to just show us where our next resistance or in our support level is going to be. We know, depending on what the fundamentals are, this level is not gonna be respected if it gets tested. I mean, this pair is primarily a fundamental driven pair at the moment. We can see the trend is towards the upside on the weekly, but at this current point in time, I will not put in a buy position, and I will not be waiting for, you know, this position to be tested to put in a buy position. I will, you know, I will stay focused on what the fundamentals will be saying for me to be able to, you know, see how if we've got to pull back to this level, the 1.33 level, what the market reaction will be at this support level. So I think that there is a high possibility that this is gonna, you know, it's gonna pull back below this level and remain range bound. So if we just jump up quickly again to the monthly to have a look, yeah, if we drop a level, we did say that a good support level looking at the weekly would be around the 128, the 129. So yeah, I'm looking at a strong pullback down here towards the 119, the 120, level. But as I said, this is one of the pairs that I'm not currently looking at the moment, because there's nothing, you know, it just doesn't, you know, the level of activity on this pair doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really satisfy my trading strategy for me to be able to add it to my bucket of pairs that I do analysis on. So let's jump down quickly to the weekly, see our divergence and our RSI and our checking. We jump down further to the daily to have another look. We see we've closed below the cloud here at the 137, and we kind of consolidated there for you know, we've got a formation of a little flag to the downside. We go on divergence on the RSI and the checking volatility, is pushing below the 0 mark. So yeah, I mean, this pair is is one of those sleeping pairs as well. I mean, to be watched, especially with what's going on in the news today. So if you are looking at this pair, I will just keep tabs on the fundamentals, keep tabs on the daily, and as we said, looking at the weekly chart, that we will be expecting a pullback down to the 1.33, 1.31 level, as we know that that's a recognized support level, and there could be a higher probability of a break below that level to the downside. So yeah, in summary, I'll just wait to see how this level gets tested and take it from there. So we will bring our list back up and move on to our next pair, which is another pair that I'm not looking at as part of my list, the USD Swiss. So let's just close this this USD CAD pair, as I don't want it part of my list, and bring out the USD Swiss. Now I think I'll add this to my list as well, because going forward, it could be an interesting pair to watch with the global, the geopolitics that are currently going on at the moment. So I will keep this. I'll keep this on my list and just move it into the right. Move it to a good position. So I'll move it just after the GBP Swiss, and we got the USD Swiss as well. So on the USD Swiss, yeah, we're looking at the daily. Let's just jump to the weekly and close this list right here. All right, looking at the weekly, this is when the Swiss bank released the peg on the franc. So we know where that we know about this this level to the downside here, but we're not expecting that. We're not expecting that strength or the weakness in the dollar to. We're not expecting our weakness in the dollar to give us anything like that, but we will at least be expecting this level to be tested, the 0.91 level on the weekly. And we looked at let's look at our RSI. We can see divergence in the RSI on the weekly. We see downside pull to the checking. Let's jump down quickly to the daily to see that. We know that we're currently looking at this. We're currently in the consolidation state at the 0.96 in the cloud. Looking left, that's a level we've tested in January, and we can easily say that that's there's a consolidation here close to that level. Even if you do take that level upwards, you can see that we kind of respect it and close below it at the 1.96. We're kind of still pushing 1.9695. Now I will be interested in opening the short if we break below the cloud at the 0.95 level, seeing divergence here on the daily. So this is a good short pending. Pending my strategy is satisfied on the daily for this pair. If we just jump quickly to have another closer look down to the 4 hours, let's just pull that across. Have a look. We see, looking left, we are now at the 0.96. The 4th of May, we tested 0.96 in April. On April the 14th, we've tested that 0.96 level, and we held at that level. We did a retracement back, so we were kind of range bound on the 4 hours, going back all the way to the 26th of March, 16th of March, and that level held on the 1st of March as well. So you can make it, well, as part of my strategy, I wouldn't be able to make a decision on how I'm going to approach this pair, keeping in mind the fundamentals that are surrounding this pair at the moment. I will be looking for a break below the cloud on the daily, so a push below this level and a confirmation candlestick below this 0.95 level for me to be able to go in as a short, because then we will be expecting we'll be expecting, you know, lows at 1.93, sorry, at 0.93, 0.92 lows. So lows on the weekly at these lows here. So if you go, if you know, if the situation if the trade presents itself and the setup presents itself, and I do go in at this level for a short, where my stop loss will be above the cloud, you can still get a 2-to-1 ratio, profit to loss ratio on this, keeping in mind, you know, keeping in mind your strategy and how your strategy permits you to trade on this pair. But in summary, for this pair, is a pair that I'm adding to my list now to keep track on and watch and keep tabs on the fundamentals as well, because as I said, it's a good short pending. We can see the trend is towards the downside. So I mean, there's a lot of technicals and that are in place that, you know, that's confirming the short. So we just need the fundamentals to kind of go hand in hand with that, and we will keep our tabs on the smart money and the volume flow as well, on the check-in to give, you know, the final stamp on that was the short. So we will leave that on the weekly chart. Actually, no, I'll leave that on a daily, because it gives me a better picture. I'm kind of closely watching that at the moment. We'll get our list back up, and we'll move to our last pair within the majors, which is a pair that I'm currently watching as well. It's the USD Yen. So now on the USD Yen, sorry, I've closed that list because I've currently got that USD Yen on my list of pairs that I watch. So on the USD Yen, let's just jump quick up to the weekly. On the weekly, we're currently at a support level. So if you look at March 18th, look at our March 18th, we see that levels there. We look back again on the 2016 January, that level held for a little bit. We looked forward last September, that level again is here, it's been tested. So let's just jump down quickly to the daily. We see divergence on our weekly here, checking towards the downside. All the confirmation is looking towards a short on this pair. We see the you know, the trend is towards the downside. And if you did plot a 200-day moving average, you'll be able to see that that's towards the downside. I don't have that on there because I can, you know, I can easily just tell from experience looking at the trend on the weekly where the flow of the averages are. So if we just jump quickly down to the daily to have a closer look, we see we're currently consolidated in the cloud on the daily here between the 107 between the 107.6 level. So that's just at this point here, shows a little bit of uncertainty, but we do know that looking at the USD Yen, it is a strong pair because you got the dollar against the safe haven asset currency. So we will keep close eye on this, as well as the, you know, the other USD pairs, as well as the USD Swiss. We're keeping a really close eye on this because I think you know, 99% of my strategy in confirmation of a short is in place. I'm just waiting now for a good setup to present itself. So there is a high probability that this candlestick is going to close below the cloud, and we'll be heading to test these levels that we've tested the end of February, beginning of March, so the 101 level. So if you know, if we do go in and the setup presents itself, we do go in at the 106, and with our stop loss within, you know, just above the confirmation candlestick. Say I'll have my stop loss at the previous lows, which will be around the 108. So it's still got a good, you know, 4 to 1 profit and loss ratio. So it is a good trade setup pending at the moment. So you know, you just need to, you know, have patience on that and wait for the setup, which should be anytime within the next day or so, depending on how this tension with the US and China plays out. US, China, and Hong Kong, how they all plays out. So that's that, you know, within the next day or so, we can open a good position on this. I mean, we're looking again at our divergence on the RSI. We're looking at the check-in. Everything is in place. So we don't need to drop to a lower time frame because, you know, we got confirmation on how we're gonna play this out. We're just waiting for the setup to present itself. So we will keep this on the weekly. Actually, no, we'll take it down to the daily. I mean, some of the charts we leave on the weekly and some we leave on the daily. The ones that we're closely watching and like a hawk, we kind of leave on the daily because we can easily jump back to them. So we've got our chosen list at the top here. Let's just have another quick look. So we've got the euro GBP, the GBP USD. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've got 11 pairs that we're currently looking at the moment. As you guys can recall from our last analysis, we've always been looking at 8 pairs. Now we've added these 3 pairs because they are quite crucial in terms of potential good profit to be made, and keeping in mind what's currently going on geopolitical wise, and also the technical setup in terms of our trades. So okay, so now that we've discussed the major pairs and we're happy with the 15 major pairs that we've just went through, we will close down the window to the left here, close the major categories down, and open the minor, which we currently got open at the moment. Within the minor pairs, I don't trade all the minor pairs. I've got 5 favorite pairs that I will look at occasionally. Now the reason for this is there are not a lot of volatility in the minor pairs, not a lot of volumes are traded, and the spreads, as I've said before, are quite well, they're not as tight as the major pairs. So I've got 5 within the minor pairs that I look at occasionally, depending on what the fundamentals are. So if there's something, if there's going to be a revaluation of the currency, then I'll look at these pairs. Or they're going to be a change in, I don't know, the government, or it's going to be something, some kind of major fundamental event for me to be able to then look into these pairs. Otherwise, I just I stay focused on the major pairs. So the 5 minor pairs that I look at are Aussie USD, the Kiwi USD, the Kiwi Yen, the Aussie Yen, and the USD Hong Kong dollar. So we will start with the first on our list, which is the Aussie USD. So now I'll just bring this chart up, and as we've done with our major pairs, we will bring up the chart as a default and then drop our template onto it. So now with the minor pairs, I do make a slight change to my chart. So this is just for the minor pairs, to just help me get a bit more analysis out of the currency pairs. So what I did, the adjustment that I do is I add a Heikin Aichin candlestick to my chart, to candlesticks. So we will go into my chart settings, which is currently on candlestick. Go into my chart settings. It's currently, as you can see, it's currently on candlesticks. Now I'm not going to go too much into detail on how I use what this tool does, and what and how to trade it, but basically it's kind of a volume trend indicator, and it changes depending on the strategy. You can see if it's a downtrend, you got more of a red candlesticks, depending on what your color and settings are. But you can see clearly that at this point in time you have a continuous downfall to the lows here. So my typical view will be just spotting the number of candlesticks, and I kind of just uses the old trading technique of spotting the 9. So where there are more than 9 Heikins towards one side, it kind of signals to me that the trend is towards the downside or upside, depending on where the 9s are pointing, or where the 9s are showing. So that's the only adjustment I do make on my chart looking at minor pairs, because due to the spreads on the trade not being as tight as the majors, I want to make sure that if I do go into the trade, there's a good chance or a high probability of of that position being open and a high probability. I want to make sure that there's a high probability of my trade being, closed, in terms of my stop loss being moved to break even within the hour. So once that happens, I kind of just, once my stop loss is moved to my, to break even, and I've covered my, my cost and commission on the trade, I've just kind of just leave and move on to something else, because either way I'm coming out of that profit. So that's the only change update that I do make to my chart. So we've added the hitchhiking to this to my chemo cloud, and we are on the Aussie USD. So we do the same as usual. We jump up to the weekly to have a look, and we can see, if we were looking at this pair, and we are not at the moment, but if we were, we will kind of keep tabs on this pull to the downside, and we wouldn't do anything unless we see the the Kaijin crosses the Kaiju up here, and we see these candlesticks forming. And at this point, the 9 here would be where I would open a position to the upside if I was trading this, but then taking into account the spread on the trade. But that's how I will do it looking at this pair. But as I've said, you can use as much as you can use any other strategy that pleases you and works for you. But for me, that's that's the tool that I will use and how I'll approach trading this pair. So if we look down to the RSI on the weekly, we can see the upside. There is no ceiling for this at the moment, so we can assume that it's going to hit the 70 point on RSI. We can see that the check-in is to the downside, but it still doesn't show you the change in momentum or change in volume yet. So let's just jump quickly to the daily, have another closer look. We see on the daily, the RSI is exhausted to the oversold point. We're past the 70, so you will be expecting a pullback, but do keep in mind where the fundamentals are at the moment, and the unrest, the civil unrest within the US. Well, we don't know exactly what how long this is gonna the civil unrest is gonna carry on within America. We know that the economy is coming online slowly, and we don't know whether it's gonna be a second wave of COVID-19 and so on. So, but there's a lot of uncertainty there. There's a lot of uncertainty there. So I personally wouldn't trade this. I'll make my decision on the weekly for the time being. But if you're looking at this on the daily, you can see that you will be expecting a pullback here. But there is no confirmation candlestick. There is no red candlesticks, nine of the red candlesticks to show you that. So it's more of a waiting game on this pair. I don't tend to go, looking at the minors, I don't tend to go below the daily chart, because it's just it's just not worth it for my strategy. It doesn't play into that. So I just leave it on the daily, jump back up to the weekly, and we will move this to the right a little bit. This will be a perfect moment for me to show you how to save a chart template, because this little adjustment we made to our normal template, we haven't got that saved for the minor pairs. So what I'll do now is save another template and show you how it's done. So we've added the icon to our chart. We want to keep that, so we will go to template, save template, and I'll call it D3 HA for Hikiachin dark. And God, that's the thing, is really, you gotta be really careful using this, because it kind of just have to do it all over again. So I'll put a T3 HA dark and go to save, and there it is. So what we'll do now is close this pair, because we will, we kind of summarize how we're going to look at this and what we plan on doing if we were trading it. We will close this pair and move on to the next pair on our list, which is the Kiwi USD. Now on the Kiwi USD, I'm currently looking at this at the moment. So we will open this chart, jump up to the weekly, and then let me drop in our template on top of that and see where we are. So on the weekly, on the on the Kiwi USD, we can see, similar to the Aussie USD, this is one of my favorite minor pairs, because there tends to be a lot of activity on this compared to other minor pairs. So you can see on the weekly chart, the downside pullback similar to the Aussie dollar. You see a formation of a flag here, but once you're looking, if you're looking at the hitchhiking, you cannot, the normal candlesticks analysis doesn't really apply 100% to this, because you're looking more at volume flows. So we see the trend is towards the downside, and as you will expect, there's only so much further you can go before you have a pullback. So we pull back to a good support level here, and I think we're kind of settling around that at the moment on the weekly. So if you're looking to trade this, then you'll be looking to pull in a short position for a sell, but that will also depend on the fundamental heavily as well. So let's just jump. Now let's have a quick look at the RSIs and checking. Yes, to the upside at the moment. Yeah, it's kind of this one is a waiting. I will not be buying this, although you see a confirmation here. Candlesticks, you got 5 itchy icons here, you got an extra 2 there. It's a lot of uncertainty there to go to the upside. There's more to the downside, and looking at the trend as well. So we will see the relationship of this to the cloud on the weekly, and then we will be expecting a pullback on this. So let's just jump down quickly to the daily and have another look. If you look at the RSI on the daily, you can see we're overbought here, and we'll be expecting a pullback. And we float above the cloud. We've got the 9s here plus. So yeah, it's kind of just pending, waiting for you just need to wait for a pullback now. Really wait for a good setup to present itself, in regards to your trading strategy, for you to go in and put in where your stop loss should be, and then go ride this to the downside. But I wouldn't do anything at the moment, keeping in mind what the fundamentals are. This is another waiting pair like the Aussie USD. You just need to kind of wait and see how, when the setup does present itself. So I will move down. So I will move up to the weekly on this pair, and leave it as it is, and just add it to our watch list. Because as I said, it's quite an interesting pair at the moment. All USD related pairs and safe haven, all USD related pairs, and safe haven currency pairs like the yen as well, related pairs. I kind of keep tabs on that at the moment, just to take advantage of any opportunity that arises and fits within my any opportunity, to take advantage of any opportunity that arises. So we will then move on to the next pair on our list, which is the Kiwi Yen. So now on the Kiwi Yen, let me just leave this here because we're looking at that at the moment. On the Kiwi Yen, let's find the Kiwi. So on the Kiwi Yen, new chart, and let's drop in our new template that we've created, T3HA dark. Perfect. And it just pulls up. That's something I really do like about this this trading platform. It's easier. I'll find it easier. Anyway, so yeah, on the Kiwi Yen, we jump straight to we're on the weekly, because we did save our template on the weekly, And similar to the Kiwi USD, we are we're just about touching the cloud and span A of the cloud. We've got divergence here, so we knew that that our pole was towards the upside, checking to the downside here. We will then jump down to the daily. Just give us a bit closer look. We know the trend looking at the weekly is towards the downside. So as with the Kiwi USD, you're kind of just waiting to for a setup to present itself, so you can ride this to the downside. I think one of the core rules of trading the minor pairs is never trade against the trend. I know you kind of follow the same rule for the major pairs as well, but it's kind of more you take a bit more serious in terms of the minor pairs, because it's close to 99% of the time that the price action will follow the trend. So I will not open any sell position on these minor pairs against the trend. And we will have a look to the left and see where we are with that pull back to the upside. We see we're kind of on the support level here. Let's just jump up again to the weekly and have a look at that support level here. Expect there's a support level at the top here. I would say 73 spot 317. About 73 is more of a support level, and that will bring it up into the cloud. So that will be a level that I will, I'll be more confident that will be tested. And so that is, if I'm looking to open a short position, I will kind of be waiting to see what the relationship will be. The price action relationship will be at this level, the 73 level, and then that will determine whether it breaks above that level, and then we know that it's going to carry on to the upside. But then we've got to keep tabs on the fundamentals as well, which will play an important part, because we are looking at the safe haven currency. Although there's economists are forecasting a recession within the Japanese economy, we still need to keep smart money in mind, market psychology in mind. And we know that the Japanese currency, the yen, is very, very resilient in terms of its ability to stay stable, safe haven currency, hence it being a safe haven currency. So at this level is where we will decide whether we need to get in on this currency pair or not. So we will leave it on the weekly and jump to our next pair, which is the Aussie Yen. So now that's another minor pair that I've never looked at, because it's just never really caught my interest. There's nothing really happening there, and if there are, I'm more focused on the majors. But I mean, this is something you guys can have a if you want to look at minor pairs, as one of the currency I will recommend. So we will find where it is on our list. Aussie Yen. There we go. So new chart, Aussie Yen, and let's drop our template on top of that. T3 high, dark, straight onto the weekly. Yeah, I mean, with the previous two pairs that we look at, the Aussie Yen is kind of playing the same strategy, the same market strategy, where we still see a retracement back. We're looking at the weekly, we can see a support level here, the 78 level, and we're kind of in the cloud at the moment. We see our RSI here heading towards the overbought position, checking volatility. Volume are retracing back to the zero level, but that doesn't mean anything till it crosses that level. So that's just something for us to keep in mind, because we know the trend is towards the downside. So like the previous pairs, we will look for an opening position, see what the relationship is at this support level, and then make our decision on that. So let's just jump down quickly to the daily to have a closer look. Yes, we see we are overbought, we're heavily overbought, but that's, that doesn't mean that it's going to be, it's going to retrace strictly. We need a divergence, and we need to see where that Chaikin is as well. We need to know what the fundamentals are, and whether whether there's a risk on or risk off. But we will be expecting a pullback anytime soon at the 78 level. Will be where our, at the 78 level will be where our where I'll be expecting the pullback to be, the formation to be playing itself out. So at the time, for the time being, I will, if I was looking at this, I'm just going to keep tabs on it, and and see what the price action relationship is to that support level. So let's just jump back up to the weekly. I mean, as with the previous pairs, we can see, it's kind of a simple, it's kind of a common formula, with the retracements and the RSIs and the volume indicator, the RSI and the check-in. So we will close this for the moment because we're not looking at it, and move on to our last minor pairs. We've got over 55 minor pairs. Some of them are quite exotic, and we will never ever look at them. But the 5 that we do look at is something that we will continue to look at. So our next pair is the USD Hong Kong dollar, which is here. So new chart. Let's just draw our template on top of that. Yes, and again, like the other pairs, I've never looked at this, but we can see from just looking at the chart on the weekly that the volatility is quite is quite unpredictable. So this is where the Hichaikin kind of gives you a bit more idea of what is happening. So we can see uptrend, and then the trend changes here. It's the beginning of last year, and we flow towards the downside. So I mean, this, I wouldn't advise anybody to trade this pair, because unless you're seriously looking for chasing price action, which is not a good idea. But I kind of stay away from it. We know that we're here sitting at a historical support level. So depending on what the action will be, whether this flag closes to the downside. But if we look into the left, we can see that this level has been respected. So if you're looking at this, then a buy position will be something that you should be thinking about at the moment. Looking at our RSI, we can see divergence here, and that's kind of confirmation on the weekly for an upside. We can see our Chaikin is kind of here. There's a slight divergence from there to there, from March to date, and so we'll be expecting this Chaikin to the volume traded to move up, confirming a buy position depending on what your strategy is. But as you know, within Hong Kong, what's going on with Hong Kong and the Chinese government, that's a major fundamentals to to take into account. So that will explain why the Hong Kong dollar is kind of dropped this much within the past. So we will jump down quickly to the daily, have another closer look. Yeah, and we can see that this level is quite a solid support level. So you can see the if you're looking from my my broker is kind of giving me the the buy and sell positions on this. So you can see the difference in colors of the lines here. So that's just kind of indication to the spread that you're going to pay for this pair if you're trading it. So as I said, I wouldn't recommend this. There's so many other currencies in the major that you can look at. But anyway, if we look down to RSI, we can see we're just stable at the moment. There's nothing happening there, and our check-in, there's nothing happening there. It's basically telling us that looking left till beginning of March, once we had this pullback here, there is nothing happening. So this is one of the currencies that if you do open a position, as well as the spread and the commission you pay on this exotic pair, you will have to, you know, wait days, maybe weeks for price action to move. And as every day passes, you know, your commission or your position, the position that you're holding is costing you more and more. So it's not worth it unless, you know, unless there is something major going to happen within Hong Kong, if they're ditching the currency or, you know, something along those lines. Then you can you buy this and get into there and make a little profit with a trail stop or something. But yeah, I'll kind of stay away from this at the moment, but it is on my list of things to watch due to geopolitics and due to, you know, but as I said, what's going on with China, Hong Kong, and the US. So I'm watching it, but I'm not watching it like a hawk. All right, guys. So that's the 5 minor pairs we've just been through that I do look at, depending on fundamentals. The Aussie USD, the Kiwi USD, the Kiwi Yen, the Aussie Yen, and the USD Hong Kong dollar. There, as I said, I mean, there are, if you look to the left in the minor panel, there are over 55 additional exotic currencies that you can look at if you want. But for me, it's just not worth it because it's not beneficial in terms of profit, in terms of cost. There is more than enough opportunities within the major pairs, you know, for you to be able to take advantage and, you know, and trade for as long as you want, and you don't even have to venture into the minor pairs. But I thought we'll just pluck five minors from there to show you how if I do look at them, how I look at them. All right, guys, thank you very much for taking your time and watching this video. If you have any comments, please do drop it below. Give this video a thumb up if you find it useful. I've taken a lot of time to do it, so I hope it helps. I hope you enjoyed.